Well, excuse me, I've moved my camera a minute. I've had to change the angle of my camera because the sun's beating through my window, as you can probably see through this part of the image. It's very bright. It beats through my window for most of the morning till sort of like midday, and then it sort of moves around. So we were saying in our last video, the introductory video, we were saying we would consider what radio should I buy for shortwave listening or radio listening in general. Now, you need to go one step back from that, and to consider what radio you want to buy, you need to ask the question, what can I listen to? Or what do I want to listen to? What you want to listen to will govern what sort of radio you buy. Now, what do you want to listen to? You need to take a step, another step back from that and say, well, what can I listen to? What is it possible to listen to on the radio? Well, I'll give you a list just off the top of my head of the sort of things you can listen to. Then we can say, well, or you can ask yourself, well, what would I like to listen to out of that lot? Or do I want to listen to it all? So anyway, I'll give you a rundown of sort of stuff you can listen to, and that is civil air traffic, i.e. passenger airliners. Now you can hear them on both VHF and also shortwave. Now bearing in mind that shortwave travels much better than VHF. VHF is just sort of line of sight, whereas shortwave it's not line of sight, it's sort of, you can imagine the signal sort of does that, goes up in the air, it's the ionosphere and it comes back down, and you can go around the world with shortwave. It's much better distance wise than VHF, but you can hear civil air traffic on both. Now with VHF you'll hear the airliner going over your house or wherever. You will very rarely hear the ground station. You can do, but it's not very often. Whereas shortwave, you nearly always hear the ground station. That's how it works, that's the difference. So this is something to bear in mind. Military air traffic, same rule applies there, VHF and shortwave. Distance much better on shortwave. Marine band, again, shortwave and VHF. And again, the distance is much better on shortwave. I mean, I live right on the coast here, so I can get VHF marine band. As you will hear at some point, I'll play you some recordings. But if you're living in the inner cities, like middle of Birmingham or somewhere like that, VHF marine band probably be a waste of time. But you get it on shortwave, you can get it on shortwave marine band. can be very good actually. The sort of stuff you get on marine band is anything from cargo boats, pleasure boats, Coast Guard, particularly in emergencies, Coast Guard, lifeboats and stuff. Deep sea fishermen, that's the one I quite enjoy actually, deep sea fishermen. If I can pick up the deep sea boys, that's a bit of fun. So that's something else. Broadcast stations on AM, again shortwave, and also band 2 on VHF, but you get a much greater selection on shortwave on AM. Radio amateurs, particularly on shortwave, you get radio amateurs. Weather stations, clandestine radio stations, like number stations, which probably something to do with spies or something, I would think. You just hear a female voice reading out strings of numbers, so it is thought that they are spy stations of some kind, espionage, that type of thing. Pirate radio stations, military phone patches, quite fun. Military personnel ringing home, quite fun. If and when you can get them. That's a shortwave only job for them. NASA, that's another thing you can get. They don't seem to do as much today as days gone by, because the space shuttle's finished and all that sort of stuff. But you can pick them up, NASA. And at some point I'll play you some archive recordings of stuff from NASA. And there's probably other stuff that I could have mentioned that I just haven't thought of at the top of my head. But that gives you a sort of idea of the sort of stuff you can listen to, which is quite a broad range. So from that, you can look at it and you can say, well, out of that lot, what would I like to listen to? I personally would say to you, put my pad away a minute, I would personally say to you, start off with a shortwave radio. You can always graduate to VHF. I mean, a lot of what used to be on VHF it's gone now, because it's they've all gone digital and all that sort of stuff. And the emergency services and all that, I'm sure you know what I mean. The emergency service, they've all gone digital, so you won't get them. And me personally, if you bought a digital scanner, which you can buy quite easily, a lot of stuff on there I personally wouldn't want to listen to, like the gas board and all that business. Why would I want to listen to the gas board? You know, I mean, but horses for courses, I guess. So my advice would be, start you off on a shortwave radio, because it travels, like I've just said to you, it travels much better than VHF. Although, as we will show, VHF can have its moments where you get stuff that's not intended. eBay. Where you get stuff that's not intended for your ears. You can do it on VHF with unusual conditions and stuff, which we'll show you. So, if we now assume that you're going to say, right, well, I'll have a go at a shortwave radio, because that's what you're recommending. You say, right, so we now look at it and say, what shortwave should I buy? Well, if you want to listen to all what I call all the goodies, which is like the radio amateurs and the deep sea fishermen and military, civil air band and all that stuff, you must get a radio that has the ability to receive single sideband. Now, if you just want to listen to broadcast stations, then as long as it receives AM, you'll be fine, no problem. And broadcast station listening is fun, don't get me wrong, it's good fun. I do a lot of that. But if you want to try and seek out the goodies, like the NASA and the deep sea fishermen and all that, you must get a radio that has the ability to receive single sideband. Now, my personal recommendation is that you buy a portable shortwave to start with, because you won't spend a huge amount of money as you would buying a base station. You know, I've got numerous base stations here. You won't spend as much money, and it'll give you a good idea whether you like the hobby or not. If you like the hobby and you say, right, I'm going to stick with this is really interesting, you can always graduate to a base station from home, use it from home, and use your portable for when you go out, like a DX-Sync portable. So my advice is to buy portable shortwave. Now, I've got 2 or 3 here I'll show you, just to give you an idea. This is a little Eaton G3, thank you, Eaton G3 Globe Traveler. Now, I don't know whether you're going to be able to see this, but it has a little, let's see if I can get that in there, little button there. It says L/USB. That's lower and upper sideband. That's single sideband. That's what you want on a portable if you're going to look for all those goodies that I mentioned previous. This one actually is, I'll do a review of these portables when I get time. This one is actually not the greatest portable going, but it does, in its defense, it does come with band 2, the FM broadcast band, and it also comes with VHF airband. And I've got to say, on this little radio, the VHF airband reception is pretty good. It's pretty good. But there are some issues with this little radio, as I will show you when I do a review of it. But that's an Eaton G3 Globe Traveler. See my little cards I've made up with frequency stuff written on there. Amateur bands, military, I think this says military, isn't it? I'm reading it upside down. Volmut stations, which are weather stations. Civil air bands. So obviously I have been using this radio out in the field, DXing. So an altogether better radio is this Sony SW7600GR. Now it doesn't have the air band like the one we just looked at, but that's not a concern really when I'm out in the field. But you will see that, I hope you can see there, so that it says SSB, which is your single side band, which is what you want for all the goodies. And that's a very nice usable shortwave, portable. So that's one to look out for. I'm not sure exactly what you would pay for one of these now on eBay. Wouldn't be hugely expensive, I don't think. But my go-to radio for DXing out in the field is this quite largish radio. It's again with complete with single sideband and AM. This is a, I can't think what it is now. It says Roberts on it. It's not a Roberts, just made under license by Roberts. It's a Sangean. Sorry, my mind went. Senior moment. Sangean ATS 909. If you type in, like you went on eBay or something, and you typed in Sangean ATS 909, this is the radio you would see. The only difference between this and the Sangean ATS 909 is that name plate there. This is just made by Roberts under license from Sangean. The radios are actually identical in every respect. And this one on the FM broadcast band has RDS, which is the radio data system. So it'll give you little bits of information as to what the station is, what they're broadcasting, which I like very much when I'm out DXing band 2. It's nice to get a name to the station. If you're getting continental stations, it's nice to know the name of the station. So this is my go-to portable for mobile DXing, you know, out in the field. A very good radio, in my personal opinion, a very good radio as a starter for shortwave listening. Sangean ATS 909 or Sony SW7600GR or any of the Sony 7600. They're pretty good. I've got a Sony 7600D coming somewhere in the mail. It's coming, so we'll have a look at that when it gets here. But remember, if you want to listen to all the goodies, like the radio amateurs and the marine band and civil air band and all that, then you must make sure that the radio that you buy has single sideband. You'll see it marked on the radio SSB, or if you go on eBay and you're looking at a radio, the seller should tell you whether it gets single sideband or not. And you should have an enjoyable time. They normally, hopefully, they come with a little extension antenna as well. Here's the Roberts one, it's on a coil. When you finish with it, you can just coil it up. That's nice for when you're out in the field. That's nice. Here's the Sony equivalent. See, here's one. Where's the one that I made? There it is. Here's one that I made. That's a builder's chalk line from a builder's yard. And I took all the string off it and tipped all the chalk away and cleaned it all out. Loaded it with copper wire and put a plug on the end. And you just pull it out, put this wherever you want to put it, in a tree or whatever, plug it in, and away you go. And when you're finished, just coil it back up. Job done. So that's what I would recommend, a little portable. You won't spend nowhere near as much money as a base station. It'll give you, if you get a decent brand like the Sangean or the Sony, should give you some reasonable results. It'll give you enough of an idea as to whether you like the hobby and you want to get more deeper into it. Then you can start looking at base stations and putting up decent antennas and all the rest of it and progressing. So we will at some point do some reviews on these portables and show you the ins and outs and all the peculiarities of them, because they're all slightly different and they all have their own quirks, and there isn't one perfect shortwave out there. There's always people that will say, oh well, if it did this or that's, and you end up with the radios that you like and you say, well, I think that's pretty good, that does for me. So get yourself a portable, plenty of them online and on eBay. Get yourself a portable, you'll have a lot of fun, you'll hear a lot of stuff, it'll keep you amused, it'll keep you occupied, certainly whilst we're in lockdown, and it'll give you a good idea as to whether you like the hobby or whether you don't. So, not sure what I'll do on the next hobby, probably on the next hobby, on the next video. I'm not sure what I'll do. Possibly I'll show you my base setup that I use here in the apartment, and you can get an idea of what sort of base radios look like rather than portables. But anyway, as always, I'm starting to lose my voice now. Thanks for watching, thanks for listening. If you like, push the subscribe button down below, and we'll try and put out as much interesting stuff and as much helpful stuff as we can for you. See you in the next one.